Hello friends, this is Vinith. Welcome to my YouTube channel, Techies Hub. So today we are going to talk about what is Nexus Framework. The Scrum.org talks more about this Nexus Framework. So what is this Nexus Framework? So Nexus is a framework for developing and sustaining scale product and software delivery initiative. It uses Scrum as its building. It's a relationship or a connection between people or things. Nexus is a framework consisting of roles, events, artifacts, and rules that bind and weave together to work of approximately 3 to 9 Scrum teams working on a single product backlog. It's like something called when we the scale teams that we can make use of these Nexus frameworks. And so, what are these multiple teams in a Scrum? So many developers have used the Scrum framework to work collectively to develop and deliver an increment of working software. However, if more than one Scrum team is working off the same product backlog and in some code base for a product, difficulties often arise. So if the developers are not on the same collocated team, how will they communicate when they are doing work that will affect each other? And also, if they work on different teams, how will they integrate their work and test the integrated increment? So these challenges appear when two Scrum teams are integrating their work into a single increment and become significantly more difficult when there are more than three or four teams. So these are the challenges that we have. So when it comes to the requirement, the scope of the requirement may overlap and the manner in which they are implemented also may affect each other. The ordering the product backlog and selecting the product backlog items. All this knowledge should be considered. And what about the domain knowledge? So the people on the teams have knowledge of various business and computer systems. So their knowledge should be distributed across the Scrum teams to ensure that the team have the knowledge they need to do their work. And finally, the software and test artifacts. The requirements are or will be instantiated in the software. So this is actually the Nexus framework. So we have the product backlog and then we have the Nexus sprint planning. So we have something called a Nexus and a Scrum teams. And then we have the Nexus sprint backlog. Then we have the integrated work, which will be of 3 to 9 Scrum teams. And then there will be Nexus integration team and also Nexus daily Scrum, then the symbol daily Scrums. Finally, we will have the Nexus sprint review, which will be followed by the Nexus sprint retrospective, where there will be a Nexus and Scrum teams. And finally, we will have the product increment. So, what are the Nexus roles? So, the Nexus integration team is accountable for a done integrated increment. So, the Nexus integration team consists of the product owner, a Scrum master, and one or more Nexus integration team members. So Nexus product owner. So the product owner in the Nexus integration team he works off a single product backlog as described in the Scrum framework, and the product backlog has the single product owner who has the final say on its contents. It's like a normal product owner who takes care of the product backlogs. And we have the Nexus Scrum Master. So the Scrum Master in the Nexus integration team, he makes sure that he has the overall responsibility for ensuring the Nexus framework is understood and enacted by all the team member and the organization. Then we have the Nexus integration team. So the Nexus integration team consists of professionals who are skilled in the use of tools, various practices, and the general fields of system engineering. So these members ensures that the Scrum teams understand the nexus and they implement the practices and tools needed to detect dependencies and also make sure that the definition of done is followed in the correct way. And finally, to the roles and the artifact. A new role, the Nexus integration team, exists to coordinate, coach, and supervise the application of Nexus and the operation of the Scrum so that the best outcomes are derived. The Nexus integration team consists of product owner, a scrum master, and the Nexus integration team members. And artifacts. So all Scrum teams use the same single product backlog, and the product backlogs items are refined and made ready. So actually, these are the indicators of which team will do the work inside a sprint are made transparent. A new artifact, the Nexus sprint backlog exists to assist with transparency during the sprint. All Scrum teams maintain their individual sprint backlogs. The events. So events are appended to placed around or replace regular Scrum events to augment them. So the events that we have is like refine the product backlog. The product backlog needs to be decomposed so that the dependencies are identified and removed or minimized because there are so many teams working on it. So the dependencies should be identified and should be taken care. The Nexus sprint planning. So appropriate representatives from the each Scrum team will be participating in the sprint planning. So they will get a good picture of what the features that will be implemented in that sprint. And so outcome is a set of sprint goals that align with the overarching Nexus sprint goal. The Nexus sprint backlog makes the work of all Scrum teams selected, product backlog items, and any dependencies transparent. Then we have the development work. So all teams frequently interact their work into a common environment that can be tested to ensure that the integration is done. Then we have the Nexus Daily Scrum. So as I have said earlier, appropriate representatives from each development team will be participating in the daily Scrum to identify if any integration issue exists. If identified, the information is transferred back to the Scrum team's daily Scrum so that they can take the action. Then we have the Nexus Sprint Review. So it's like the Nexus Sprint Review is held at the end of the sprint to provide feedback on the integrated increment that a Nexus has built over the sprint. So they will meet with the stakeholders to review the integrated increment adjustment may be made to the product backlog. And finally, it will be followed by the Nexus Sprint Retrospective. So appropriate representatives from the each Scrum team will be participating in this meeting. The each Scrum team holds individual sprint retrospective, and these representatives from the each team will discuss the matter with their team, and any actions needed based on the shared challenges will be taken in the coming sprints. So with that, actually, I conclude the Nexus framework. So I guess this was of some help to the people who are watching the video. That's all. Have a good day. Bye.